I'm not just building my van for camping trips, I also want to use my van as a mobile workshop. So for that, I'm going to be installing a 3.5 kilowatt inverter right over here. But that takes so much power that besides the fixed panel on the roof, I want to have 900 watts of additional solar panels that are going to be portable and I can set up whenever I need the additional power. Now for my plan to work, I need an outlet for my power tools, but also 2 sockets where I can plug in the solar panels. And that's what we're going to do right here in this episode of the Arctic Van Build. Also, my brother just said I look like a forestry worker, and I gotta admit he's not completely wrong. So I'm gonna change into some other clothes and then let's get started with this build. Now first we're gonna fix the wiring situation. So this big blue one is gonna be for the interior outlets. Then I gotta run another thick blue one for the solar input and a small one for the exterior outlet. Unfortunately, I already put in the panel before I had the idea of installing this exterior outlet. So we're gonna drill some access into the panel and then do all this stuff. So the conduits are in and I added the little holes so I can put in some zip ties so everything's in there nice and secured. Also a little tip, if you open a bag of cable ties, put the hole in the middle so they don't fall out and you can still take them out. To keep everything nice and tidy for this opening where the 3 conduits are gonna come out, I want to make a little flange, and for that I think I have the perfect leftover material. Those little cutouts that I use to make the flanges for the ceiling vents. So let's get one of those cut to size. Just received the packages yesterday late in the evening, so I couldn't do anything else. But now let's see what's in here. Now I got a bunch of electrical stuff because it was Prime Day and everything was quite cheap. But for now, the only thing interesting is going to be the solar cable in here. And then the much awaited package, which should have the outlet, some plugs, wiring, pretty much everything we're gonna need for this build. So first the outdoor outlet, some super thick wiring, which now that I see it, I'm not sure if that's gonna fit through the conduit. The solar panel plugs, and the most fun bit, a little multi-functional rotary tool because we gotta modify the outlet. Now let's take a closer look at the outlet and you'll see why we need the little tool. So in here we have a 230 volt outlet, we have a 12 volt outlet, which I might keep, but I'm not sure. And then we have 2 satellite receiver pins, and I don't need those. So the plan is to remove them and in their place add 2 of these little solar hookups. Then I can use this cable to plug in the external solar panels. But now that I have a look at it, it doesn't seem like we can fit 2 of the solar thingies, so I guess I gotta remove the 12 volt as well, but I wouldn't know what to use it for on the outside anyways. So I did put one of them back just to seal it up. So the plan is to have one of the solar plugs on this side and then one on the bottom. So we gotta cut those off and we're gonna do that with the new multi-tool. So I hooked it up to power, got the little cutting wheel on the extension, which should make it easier to work on the outlet. And yeah, it does make kind of a cheap impression, but who could have guessed for 25 bucks? So let's see if this works. Now the multi-tool sure was a bit flimsy and it felt like I'm a dentist drilling someone's teeth. It did the job and the cables are mounted in, and from the front it's gotta look nice and neat with the flap over it. So now I think it's time to cut another hole in the van. So let's see if we can figure out where to put it. Plan, or at least what I think looks best, is if we try to align kind of the center of the flap with this edge. So I gotta mark it up to keep everything straight. Then let's get out the jigsaw, drill and cut some holes and see how far we get. I think it went really well. I only had to do a little bit of filing and it's a super snug fit. Now regarding the wiring, which is a bit too thick, yeah, I think I found a conduit that will work, but that means, that's gonna be tight. Yeah, forget that, this isn't gonna work. I think I gotta go buy some bigger conduit. Or can I just strip the cable and run the 3 wires through the conduit? You know what sucks? The little flange we made yesterday? I already drilled a bigger hole for this, so if I strip it, I could use the smaller ones. Alright, so I did have a look, and the next size up for the conduit is gonna be almost as thick as the blue one, and that's just too big to fit. I think I'm just gonna put the wire in without conduit. It's only like a meter from here to there, and it's a super thick wire. If I fix it with cable ties, I don't think there's any chance of it ripping, so that's the plan for the cable. And with that out of the way, finally onto the fun part, installing the outlet. I think I messed up big time. I forgot to prep the backside, and that needs to go on before gluing it in, so I gotta hurry up. Now, holy moly, that was quite a shit show. Now, I really don't know how that could happen. But oh well, the plug is in, and there is gonna be some weird electrical stuff we gotta do now, because it was intended to kind of hook it up and then glue it in, but I only realized that once the glue was on, so yeah. I really need to go get myself a cup of coffee, and then let's have a go at all the electrical stuff.